Hello, my name is Jennifer Shlomovich, and I am a vegan confidence coach that specializes in helping vegans who live with non-vegans navigate challenges and build confidence in being who they are. Today, my special guest is Roman Vaynshtok, who has been vegan for 18 years. After serving as an Army engineer in the armed forces, Roman became a special education teacher and taught for over 20 years. During these years, he learned different modalities and healing traditions that could improve his students' physical and emotional well-being. Roman is a certified Reiki Master and teacher. He is also trained in Therapeutic Touch, Brain Gym, EFT, and other healing modalities. Later, he opened the Peace and Balance Reiki Center in Ohio, where he worked with individuals and taught classes. Roman has since retired and lives in Portugal. His primary focus is to educate people on how to live a happier and healthier life. Roman also writes monthly blog posts on his website and newsletter to his clients and subscribers. He still occasionally works with clients and mentors new practitioners. He volunteers as a practitioner at a local TCM clinic and teaches a Reiki and self-care course for seniors at the local university. Roman, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's nice to have you here. I'm so glad we connected a few weeks back, and I'm really excited to have you share your wisdom and knowledge with my audience today.
Thanks.
So the first question I like to ask my guests is, what is your vegan story?
About 19 years ago, when I have my last annual visit to my therapist, doctor, I find out, my doctor told me, I need go on medication and take medication to the rest of my life. And before I never take any meds. So for me, it was, I'm not really looking forward. So I started doing doing my research. And I find, in reality, if I change my lifestyle, my diet, I will be okay. So now it's 19 years later, and I still not take any medication.
That's great.
Yeah, just what Hippocrates say, it's to feel better, we need to give up what in first place put us in this place. So for me, change my diet, was a nice solution for me, because medication, it will be cover some symptoms, but it's not illuminate what's affect my health.
Yeah, because a lot of health issues, diet and our physical activity do play a huge role in our overall well-being. And yes, there could be other factors, but when we can eliminate the root causes of issues, that can certainly help improve our health and well-being for sure.
Yeah.
And so can you tell me more about what's inspired you to do the work that you do?
You talk about in work in a health area. It's
the health and wellness and the energy work that you do.
Okay, so when as you mentioned already, I work 27 years as special ed teacher, and during my teaching practice, I work with kids with severe disabilities. I find that medication have place, but it's not always only one answer. So I start learning different modalities, different techniques, how I can help with my student with a physical or emotional needs without referring to another medication or ask a therapist or a psychiatrist, okay, it need to increase medication. So it just how I learned to these different approaches. And after I finish my working career at school, I think, okay, for so many years I learned these different skills, so I start my own business. open my office. And plus, before I open my office, I also volunteering in hospice for almost 16 years. So it gives me additional experience. So I started serving people who looking for alternative approaches to health. In working with these alternative approaches, I always, from my own experience, I always tell like it's big part of healing process. It's what we introduce to our body. So it means what we're eating. It's a big part of our health. Because sometimes people think it's common phrase, we are what we eat. But for me, it's more, we are what we able to digest. Because many products on the market now, they have some, when we read the ingredients, sometimes we cannot pronounce these names. It means it's not come from the earth, it's come from labs, from factories, from different, it's manufactured, synthesized stuff. So when we're eating this stuff, our digestive system cannot recognize, cannot digest. So the body will react with stress, with inflammation. And it's sometimes it's causing problem for our health.
Absolutely. That is what helped me get started with my vegan journey, was when I noticed how food was making me feel. And I noticed, especially with dairy, how dairy was causing inflammation for me. And it was also triggering issues with my sinuses and my respiratory system. And I decided to take a break from it as an experiment. And so for 30 days, I gave up dairy, and sometimes you don't realize how bad something's making you feel, because it feels like you're normal. And so by taking it out of my diet for 30 days, I noticed a difference. And then when I had some dairy after that, I was like, ugh. And so from doing that experimentation of taking a break from that and incorporating it back in my diet, I started to create a bigger awareness on how food was making me feel. And then from there, you mentioned digestion. I noticed I was having trouble digesting meat, and I noticed that wasn't feeling very well for me either. And having parents who both had heart disease and diabetes, I was concerned the genetic role that would have in my life later on. And so little by little, when I was looking up the dairy-free recipes, I found a lot of vegan recipes. And I just saw how exciting all these flavors of different ways of cooking, like stepping into the vegan world has made me a better cook. Like, I feel like my cooking is more creative. And it was a process. It took me a few years to just back and forth, but little by little, I made it work and stick for me. But it started off with health, and then it came, later on, the compassion for animals. And so it's all those things are important. And, just tuning into what your body needs, I think, is such an important thing to do, because our bodies are giving us messages all the time.
Yeah.
And when you finally listen, and so, yeah, it's just interesting how a lot of food now, and also gluten, that's an area where I noticed, like, I can have it, but if I have too much of it, I notice it impacts, or any other types of processed foods, it just doesn't feel good. And so that's a very important point that you brought up. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, what tips do you have for people who want to create new healthy routines in their life?
It just not like for me, when I was put to in decision-making situation, when I need to think, okay, I take medication, go to procedure, or I will change my diet. I was because my why was really strong, so I can become vegan on the spot. Just today I make this decision, tomorrow I start vegan, and that's it. But for many people, it's really, it's process. It's not everyone have so strong why. They have, they see needs, wants, but it's what I recommend always, it's one step at a time, because it's work for most of my clients. So we have I don't know, just for after lunch I start eating fruit for dessert. Just it's not hard. It's one step, one fruit, and it's because some people not eating fruit at all. So at least introducing something. So for me, it's always one step at the time. And when we establish this, we can add it some more, add it more. So like here now in Portugal, I have a lady who works with me now. When we start working, she was everyone drink coffee. She was drinking coffee with 4 packages of sugar with her cup. So now 3 months later, she go to 2 packages of sugar. So we slow reducing our goal to eliminate sugar from the diet. But for now, we just slow go. Sometimes it's process, and we need to train our mind too, because our mind don't like surprises, don't like, okay, I will never know what will be next, what coming next hour, because we like consistency. So for me to build good habits, we need consistency. It's not like I will go to gym every day, or because it's not really attachment to our daily schedule. To have good consistency, we need attach new healthy habits to existing habits. So, like I say, fruits after lunch. For me, I was every day I do my excuse me, daily posting on social media. So my daily posting from 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. I wake up really early. I do everything what I need to do. Turn computer 7 o'clock, and it's my social media time from 6 to 8. And after this, I'm not touching anymore social media. But I know it's established routine. I do this daily postings, social media responses for at least, I don't know, maybe 10 years. So now when I want to, I see, I figure out I'm sitting too much from the screen. I'm not, or writing something. Again, it's sitting in front of computer. So after my daily posting for 8 o'clock to 8:30, I doing exercise. I do qigong. Some people can do different exercise, but I attach this to existing routine. So for me, it's when I turn off computer, it's time for me to stand up and go do exercise. So just everything is much easier if we attach to something what we're already doing daily. So we don't need to put a timer or reminder on our phone, because sometimes it can be reminder 2 o'clock, but at 2 o'clock you're in the middle of something, have meeting or something come, and it's okay, next time. But if it's attached to some routine, what already established routine, it's much easier to become new habit. And it's always one habit at a time.
That's really great advice. Yeah, I think a lot of us have this misconception that change has to be hard, change has to be difficult. If it doesn't feel difficult, then it's not working. When just a little simple thing, it compounds over time, and little by little, those actions that we take, first it starts with 2 packs of sugar, and then you change something else, or you start eating fruit, and then you start incorporating something else. And by doing it gradually, it doesn't feel like a big shock to the system.
Yeah, because even with this, I always talk with my clients about we adding one thing and removing one thing. So just for this lady, what I mentioned before, we're adding some healthy habits, small habits, what it's easy to do. In the same time, we're removing a little bit sugar from the diet.
Mm-hmm.
Because in few months, we will add something and removing something else. But it will be not a struggle for the body because it's slow process. We have time. If we really have strong desire to become healthy, we can make it faster. But for me, it's sometimes going too fast. People just, it's hard for some
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, definitely. For most people, for sure, me included. For me, having a replacement helps. Like I'm an emotional eater, and when I feel stress and anxiety, that's like an old coping mechanism from my childhood. And so instead of snacking on cookies or something that makes me feel worse, I try to replace it with fruit, where I'll slice up an apple. So I feel like I'm still eating a lot of something by having like some grapes and some sliced up apples. So I'm still having that sensation of, okay, I'm eating something because I'm stressed, but at least I replaced it with something that is better for me
Yeah,
instead of making some dramatic change.
because I all my life I have sweet tooth. I eat a
Mm-hmm.
lot of sweet. And when I become vegan and I give up sugar, I give up many different things, I still have some craving. So what I done in my office, I have in my desk, I always have bag of dates.
Mm.
So I feel craving for sugar, I put one dates in my mouth. Okay, for next 5, 6 hours, I'm okay. I'm good.
And dates have a lot of health properties with them too that I've read
Absolutely.
about. Um, and I think,
Microminerals.
yeah, absolutely. And I think too, one of the other things that drew me to vegan cuisine is there's so many recipes out there taking things like sweet potatoes and turning them into brownies and um, just different thing. I'm working on a video right now that that'll probably be out right before this interview on different things to make with canned pumpkin that are oil free, they taste good, and so you can take all these fruits and vegetables and and mix them up with things and take care of your cravings, whether it's a sweet tooth or you want something crunchy like chickpeas. Have you ever had like the crunchy chickpeas where like you can roast them in the oven and
Yeah,
put some seasoning on it and now it's a
absolutely.
tasty snack. so,
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel like when we can, and that's why we turn to junk food, right? Because it's those cravings that we want. But if we can replace those cravings with something that's still giving us that taste, but it's better for us, um, it's a good way to help us make those transitions without feeling deprived in the process.
Absolutely. And for me, before I become vegan, I never know how many different spices and herbs and everything around what I can use, and it's become more food become more flavorful.
Absolutely. My spice cabinet is overflowing with spices. Before I just had like the basic onion powder, garlic powder, basil, but now I have all kinds of combinations of spices. It definitely expanded my abilities as a cook, which brings me to my next question of what tips do you have for vegan meal planning and creating menus?
Mm. I have menu on my fridge, so I have for every day I have 5, 6. If I go to veggies, it's okay. It will be bake this or roasted or something. So for me, it's me or my wife. We don't need to think what we will have for today, because it's already on the fridge. And every day have not just one dish. It was 4 or 5 different varieties, so we can choose. Some will be one day will be different varieties of vegetables, another day will different varieties, different dishes using grains or beans, or just so it's easy. Because for some people, they say vegan lifestyle it's too expensive, and it can be expensive or can be not expensive, depend what we're doing. If we're going for I don't know, beyond burgers or different cheese imitation or different stuff what really expensive, or we can go buy real food, broccoli, cauliflowers, different, and it become less expensive. So just we can choose. And sometimes working with vegan community, I see not so healthy vegan, let me say, because we have a normal American diet, a lot of processed food. And now we have see more and more processed, highly processed food, ultra processed food in vegan aisles, because industry see potential customers and they will produce to make money. So as vegan, we need to be really aware what we putting on our plate. So because mostly ultra processed vegan food, it's really poor in nutritional value because it's too many different additives, flavors, editing, preservations, just they added so much stuff what it's really diluted value of the food. And because ultra processing is really not improve our health. Another things what before we go, when we go shopping for food, I always looking for shelf life. On the packages, if it's package say it will be, can stay on the shelf until, I don't know, 2027, I stay away, because if it's bacteria you not want to eat, why I need to eat this? And when we have, going back to menu, when we have menu, we know what we will cook. We go with shopping list. If I need to, I know, cauliflower, zucchini or something, I look in my doors, okay, I out of zucchini or cauliflower, so I will be not impulse shopping. I will not say, oh, maybe I will do something with this item, grab it. And I don't know, a week later, we see this in fridge, say we start to rot. Okay, I never have time to cook this. Or
I've been guilty of that.
So sometimes it will be not wasted food, not wasted money. We're buying what we're planning to cook. It's one thing. Another thing, what I will recommend for some people who sometimes impulse shoppers, just before you go shopping, open your fridge, look what in your fridge or your pantry. If you have, okay, I have celery, sweet potato, or onion. So I recommend to go on the website or vegan website or recipes or plant-based or different websites in just put these items, what I can cook with these items. So it will be not wasted. You find recipes that implement these ingredients. So it will be easy to eliminate waste. And at the same time, you maybe introduce yourself to new recipe.
Those are great tips. Very good tips, and that's something that I've been working on, and being less wasteful, and real paying attention to like what we normally cook. A tip that I share with people who want to start transitioning to a vegan lifestyle is I'll have them look at what they already cook on a regular basis and what animal ingredients can they swap out with a vegan ingredient, right? If you're making tacos, you can swap it with lentils or beans or portobello mushrooms or something like that. Or if you want to buy the processed vegan meat, then you can do that too. And it's really like, when you're not vegan, grocery shopping can be expensive or not expensive. And it's the same thing in the vegan world. It's all on what you choose to buy. It's about being strategic on not being wasteful, being intentional on the ingredients, having some planning in place that can be helpful.
Yeah, because we need to remember, so real food do not have ingredients. Just we have like buying apple, what you mentioned, or a potato or something, it's one ingredient, it's potato, it's apple. it's
Mhm.
onion. So if we have a lot of ingredients, probably it's going far away from real food. Because if you look recipe or ingredients for even McDonald's fried potato, French fries, McDonald's French fries, it's depend of what country, but it's between 7 and 12 different ingredients
Mhm.
going to make French fries. So just we need to be aware what we introduce to our body.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another thing that I will have like I will stock up on like different dried beans. Like there's this dried bean mix that I like to get because usually I'll make a soup out of it with whatever vegetables I have in the fridge. So there's certain things I will make sure I have in my pantry. Like I have different spices, I have different dried beans, I have pasta. I especially like chickpea pasta because it's it's got protein in it, so it's like another way of getting protein and not eating empty carbs. So I'll have that in my pantry, and quinoa and brown rice. So you can have, if you always make sure you have some beans and some frozen vegetables and some kind of a grain, if you always have, and spices, if you always have that in your cupboard, whatever you have, a zucchini or potatoes, whatever you have in the fridge that you don't want to go to waste, then you'll always have something to pair with it. So that's something that I've tried to do to make sure that I don't have any waste.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this has been a really great discussion. I appreciate you coming on here. One of the things I like to ask my guests is what resources they like to share with viewers, whether it's your own resources or a book or a podcast that has inspired you. So what are some resources you'd like to share with viewers today?
Now it's vegan resources, it's plenty now. With, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 years ago, it was really not so many available. Because for me, when I start my vegan journey, my Bible on my table was Engine to Diet book, and I still sometimes going to the pages of this book. But now it's after so many years, I just have favorite some podcasts, favorite YouTube videos, and in for me, just sometimes it's just have fun because cooking is fun. People think it as a chore. For me, just art of cooking. It's art when we're painting, we're mixing different colors or different media. So for me, cooking, I tell my wife, okay, I never try with this dish, this kind of spices. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, sometimes you can make some really great things. Or I'll see someone's recipe and I'll have my own little modifications to it to get inspiration. But yeah, there really are a lot of great vegan everything, podcasts and YouTube channels and cookbooks. I have a large collection of vegan cookbooks that I lean to. I will throw out the Forks Over Knives website and cookbook. They have a lot of they really helped me. They were really instrumental in helping me with that transition and discovering all the different things that I could make that are healthy. So that's one that I feel really was inspirational for me in tapping into that creativity.
Yeah, just people don't need to be scared to stay by the stove or use oven because it's they will discover when we start experimenting, practicing, we discover so many different new things because like different added different sauces, different spices. Just even play with temperature in the oven a little bit. It will be make a big difference. And again, we can make sometimes boring food, not so boring, and sometimes more healthy. Because if it's like my father, he was when he was alive, he was meat and mashed potato guy. So for me, we have too much mashed potato, too much potato. So I start replacing 50-50 mashed potato with cauliflower. So when you cook cauliflower and mash, it's like mashed potato. So just I slow start replacing one ingredient with another. He don't mind, he like it. But I become more healthy ingredients. So if we can bake potato, it's good, but we can bake sweet potato, it's even more healthier.
Yeah, I love sweet potatoes. I get them a lot. I like to make sweet potato fries in the air fryer. And if you don't have an air fryer, you can just put them in the oven too. And they bake up crispy and they're really good.
You can make sweet potato chips in just an oven.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and you have control over how much salt goes on them, how much oil, and you can make your own flavor combinations and get really, really creative. And yeah, and just anyone else out there who wants to be creative, think of the things that you already make that maybe aren't vegan that you can swap out. Like for lasagna, I'll take, instead of ricotta cheese, I'll take tofu. Now, tofu takes on the flavors of anything. So, when you smush it up and you blend it up, it has that texture like ricotta cheese. So when you have it with sauce and a little vegan cheese and other things that you want to put in that lasagna, you wouldn't be able to tell. So simple swaps that you can be
Yeah.
creative and have fun with.
You can swap lasagna sheets dough with slices of zucchini.
Hmm.
You can make everything. Just if somebody have issue with gluten, you can go to buy Asian noodles, buckwheat noodles, rice noodles. Different noodles will be replacing your wheat noodles if you can have issue with wheat.
Yeah, absolutely. I have an issue with tomatoes. I can't have tomatoes anymore. So what I've done is I make ketchup out of beets. I'll take a can of beets and I'll add some ingredients. I have
Oh,
and I make beet ketchup. And then
okay.
and then when I want to make a tomato sauce, I'll take canned beets with some basil and garlic and puree that up, and it gives me like a pizza sauce or pasta sauce. And so that's something I've gotten more creative with is swapping that out with the beets. And beets are nutritious and good for you. And so yeah, it's about having fun and being creative for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been really great having you on here. What are the best ways for people to connect with you?
It's you can people can reach me on my email. I think it's best way.
Okay,
It's
I can include everything on the notes below the video as well.
contact@peaceandbalance.org, and they can learn more about energy medicine, about diet, about different things on my website because I have monthly blogs on different topics. So they can scroll because it's only topics and scroll and see which topics will be sound interesting and they can open and read. And I hope they find some helpful information.
Great. I'll share all the links in the notes below this video. I do see your positive posts that you post on LinkedIn, so I always enjoy those. And
Thank you.
yeah, they're great. So thanks again for joining me today. It's been great chatting with you, and I hope all of you watching enjoyed this conversation. And if you want to connect with Roman, I'll leave all of his links in the video notes below. All right, that's it for now. I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.